I called Timmerie. She was at work. I was like, dude, I'm at that one Asian massage parlor that someone told us about, you know? And I was like, should I go in? And she goes, yeah, go. Just do it. She goes, I'll pay for it. You're like super stressed. And so I walk in and the woman goes, okay, you in here now? And I was like, okay. So I went in there and then Timmerie, she told me, make sure you get naked. Otherwise you'll never do it. And so I like am all the way butt naked. The woman walks in and I like go to cover myself because I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, you lay down. And then she goes, how much money you got? And then I was like, well, I have 60 for the massage. I said, and then I have this as a tip. And dude, she starts going sawhorse like an Amish person in my butt crack, dude. She literally just takes her hand. I'm laying on my back. She puts a bunch of oil and she starts doing this. And then she goes right to the back. Five, four, three, two, one. And this is Shot 30 Podcast, and I am Shayne Neubert. And today we have a very special guest in the studio. Actually, I've probably tried to have you here for at least 6-7 months now at this point.
It's one of those things where I think we both of us are constantly working, so we don't run into each other all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to nail down a time and a place when we're not like in front of each other because we're constantly moving.
Yep. And it seems like, especially when Mr. Chris Starman, thank you for being here. But it seems like every time that we do see each other, it's in like a grouping of, you've got show after show after show. And that's the way it seems that it goes out here right now. Actually, it seems like these shows are like popping, right?
It's been a good boom again. I've been in this game for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm. How long?
About 10, 12 years, somewhere in there. Not quite as long as James, but right in there. And it's in waves. I haven't stuck with it as long as he has. Like, I've come in and out of the scene a couple of times, taking breaks and whatnot. But it is one of those things where it is popping again right now. And so that's so great to see that everybody, we've had a lot of new blood in the comedy scene here lately too, so that's been helpful because the new blood brings a lot of energy. They go and book shows a lot of times,
bring it to
people, and they bring us to new areas like Galva and Bishop Hill, and so that's great, and we get to see some new places, open up some new areas, and having been in this, like I said, for a long time, we're kind of old now and tired of doing a lot of the work, so having some people do that legwork for us has been great. I hate to like profit off somebody else's labor, but at the same time, it's great to have new energy.
Absolutely. And even when like the Kiwani area, when I first started, I went to all the places in Kiwani. Like there's the Cernos, there's the Boiler Room. I went there and I asked them, they do like concerts and stuff. I was like, hey, we should do some like stand-up stuff here. And they're like, so we just don't have a scene for it. We don't have and that was like, I think everywhere can have a scene to laugh, dude.
Absolutely. I also have been on the other side of the booking, like in the venue side of things, where a lot of times music is more of a sure thing, whereas comedy can be kind of hit or miss. I mean, we've seen some of the venues have issue either after the fact or during the fact where someone said the wrong thing. Or
yeah.
So with music, a lot of times I think it's less liability on them for what the artist says versus
it's like baffling as to how Austin Ingalls is booking shows if they heard his stand up.
We were just talking about that the other day, and he is one of those rare guys, I think, that can fit kind of a weird niche, like a Daniel Tosh or a like Bobby Ray Bunch used to do a lot of, where he can be the bad guy in his own jokes, where a lot of the rest of us have to be the victim in our own jokes, or at least try to remain likable. He can get away with that, and he does it really well, where he can be the bad guy, where he can sit there and be like, okay, you're going to hate me for this, but you're also going to laugh at it.
Yeah, and he's growing very quick.
Yes.
It's because he has a lot of passion towards it. And, the one thing that I truly think, and it's unfortunate for him because he was in a long-term relationship, but after that ended, he just went, okay, stand up now,
Yeah,
And so stand up became his new girlfriend.
Absolutely. That's, one of those things, too, where when things are going well for you, your art doesn't seem to do as well. Like where you got to struggle for your art. And one of the things I was going to say about him improving so rapidly is we are really fortunate right now in the comedy scene where there is an open mic almost nightly.
Yeah.
Like you can go, if you go a week without doing comedy, it's by choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas like when we were starting out, like we had one a month, or maybe two. And that's within, like a reasonable driving distance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, so he has, like you said, it's been his girlfriend. So he's been out with her every night, hitting every mic he can. And because he's putting those reps in, he's really, that's why I think you're seeing that improvement. He's sitting, I don't want to take credit for anything, but like he's sitting at the adults table. He's sitting with, guys like James Draper, myself, Chris Schlichting, guys that have been in the scene for quite a while, and he's absorbing it. It's not just, it is about getting on stage, but it's also about taking notes, listening to what the other comics are saying and doing, and kind of absorbing that and saying, okay, now what can I do with it?
No, yeah, and I think it's a really cool thing that he is. You're struggling on that seat already?
No.
Are you just trying to get? You ever get that like where you just gotta like separate your butt cheeks? Like, do you ever get that?
I do. I definitely get that. My stuff right now is kind of. I think it's long haul COVID stuff, remnants of like catching my breath.
I've got the same thing. Like I had COVID a month ago, and then I tried to go to the gym, and I know I'm not in anywhere near as great shape as I used to be or these things, but man, I could still go to the gym and knock out things. But I went to the gym and I'm going for 5 minutes before. So I've like just switched it to start doing push-ups and squats every day just to build, because I am like ripped up. And I not that I thought that COVID was a myth or anything like that. I mean, I've heard everything. I just never had it for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then when I got it, I mean, I was a train wreck. My face, like if you see it still, I mean, half of my face turns beet red at times. And I'll just start sweating and breathing heavy. Last night, Timmery was like, Shayne, you're just breathing so heavy right now. I had my earbuds and I was editing Colin's podcast and I had no idea.
That's kind of where like I've gotten on stage like at the comedy bar. And obviously that's not a huge walk up. That's a 10-foot walk up, like 10 steps. And then you got like the speakeasies, a long walk up, but there's 3 steps. It's not like you're going very far. And I get on stage and I'm winded. And I'm like, what? I know, okay, like I'm getting older. I'm not a small guy, but I haven't been I've been a large guy for a long time. So it's not like this is new to me, but like the only thing that's different has been the COVID, where like I just get winded so easily. And
how long ago was it that you had COVID?
I had it last February.
Okay. Still, yeah. You probably don't know this name, Mark Grant. He's a lieutenant at the East Moline Correctional Facility. He's a big jiu-jitsu guy. Black belt with a white stripe. Like he's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And when he got COVID, and he was one of those guys too that I don't do politics very much, but he was one of those guys like, oh yeah, this is fake, or like this is like they planted this virus, just shit like that. And he got put on a heart rate monitor and all this stuff, and he's still not the same, and he got it very early on in the process.
This has been one of those things, like, again, not trying to get too deep into it, where it's like one person might get it super mild, and my case was super mild. I didn't even lose my taste or smell.
I didn't either
when I first had it. But it's one of those things where the next person gets it and they're like horrible. And if they could figure out what the X factor is in what makes you get it worse than me, that's, I think, the huge breakthrough in this whole thing. Like, what is it that's making people really sick, and how can we prevent that? Like, you and I had it. It was mild. These breathing problems, they suck, but they're not killing our lives.
Yeah, well, actually, so me, my wife, and then the 3 daughters. Every single person had it different. Tim Marie couldn't stop sleeping. And I couldn't just, like, if I took a sip of water, it's coming out. I'm going to go puke. And, man, and I broke I told myself when I started comedy, I was never going to miss a show. No matter what, if I was booked, like, there's no way. I will never cancel a show to do another show. I will never, and I had to miss my first show. And I was like, it was Friday, and I was feeling okay enough. I had 2 10-minute sets they wanted me to do. One at the beginning half, one at the end. And the woman who was putting on the show, it was a fundraiser for her mother who passed away from COVID. There was nothing mentally I could do I could not walk up on that stage.
No. That would have been a rough one to do.
But yeah, we had, so one of the girls just had, so the very first day when we knew, Tim Marie was like, something's wrong. And I went in the shower, and, just like all of us, we blow our snot out of our nose in the morning. But it was like those gooey things that you used to throw against the wall, stick on your...
The octopuses and the hands.
Yes, yeah. And I just kept going, and I looked at it, and I was like I started chewing on it. No, but it was so thick that I could feel, and I was like, yep. And so we then took a COVID test right then and there. We had the in-home ones. And, yep, and it was hot real fast.
I got it I got mine while the testing was still done, drive up.
Drive up, yeah.
So I work, we were never shut down with our office. We were one of those that were listed as essential. I never thought of myself as essential. I thought more like a necessary evil. But we were the companies that we're the company that were keeping other companies running. And so we had to stay open. We had guys out in the field that were very much non-believers. And so they were going out, doing service jobs and stuff like that. And,
I'm going to turn this just...
Oh, no.
No, you're just a little bit... You're okay.
So we had people out in the field, and given the people that I was in contact with, I was trying to be overly cautious. So I was getting tested every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks at one point just as a precaution. And I came to work one Monday, and some guy was bragging about having been to a bar and all the stuff and I'm like, no, that's probably not good. Yeah. Now, I can't say that he gave it to me because he never got sick at that point. I noticed, though, that I had that kind of back of the throat feeling that something was wrong. So I went and got tested, and sure as shit, I'm sitting at work, and I'm like, well, looks like I gotta go. I got the alert that I got COVID. So
how long did they say you paid?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I was off for 10 days or something like that. But.
Dude, me and Timry sat at home. Each of us, I was working from home. She kind of was, but she worked for the state. She was off for 2 months, man. And I'm telling you, that was a weird experience, being home for 2 months at the very beginning of all this.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting time. I mean, you saw a lot of people crack under the pressure of spending so much time together, and you saw a lot of people do some really great things with it. And
yeah, see, I just wish that our TikTok, the TikTok page that we had made, if I just would have had it during that time, I would have had 10,000 videos. But instead, right after everything was back to normal, and then our TikTok started doing well, and we started making good amounts of money from it. But I was like, damn, I'm an idiot. If I just would have thought of this giant penis on sweatpants,
This was a perfect time. You had to be making content, just creating a ton of content and backlogging it. And, yeah.
Yeah, so I did want to say, you said, we're both thick boys.
Yeah.
And I thought, so we did a roast battle a couple weeks ago at the Village Theater.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest jokes of the night was like someone being nice to you, but completely roasting you at the same time. When Celtic Honey came up and she said, Chris, I don't have any mean things to say. Like, a lot of people like want to talk about your size, and I'm not gonna do that. And I sat there, and the whole crowd is just dead silent, and I just went like, I was like, girl, you don't realize, in your brain, you do not realize that you just got him.
Yeah. That was a size joke without it being a size joke. Then she went on to roast me for. I had great notes that night. Like, I was prepped. Like, I've done these roasts before, so I'm like, I ain't messing around. I'm coming with my A game. And so what I did was, I had everybody's name and a small picture of them.
Yeah.
So that way,
you had it so detailed.
So that way, if I wanted to switch up who I was going after, I could just be like, okay, there's that note. There's that note. Mm-hmm. And so I was ready. And then she was like, she goes, what is this, the 90s? And I was like, yeah, you just trashed me for being prepared. Like,
yeah, dude. I mean, but I did. I was laughing.
It was funny.
The second I looked over, saw a picture of me on your notes. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, I was ready to go.
But that does bring it like into another thing. Like, you make all of these posters and you make all of these cards for people. Mm-hmm. A lot of the I don't know if you do more than just the stand-up stuff.
So I got into graphic editing in a really weird way. I was working for Best Buy at the time in a software company.
Geek Squad?
No, just regular in the store. I was in the software area, CDs and music, and as well as video games. Kind of.
What's a CD?
Yeah, it's getting bad like that. Where, we still sold cassettes when I was there first there. So they brought in this software, and I used it. And graphic editing kind of went two major ways. You went Adobe Photoshop or like the Corel programs.
Yep.
I went neither. I went Windows Picture Editor, and that was the one that no one used. So I got really good at a program that it was limited. And so I was never.
And that was a free program, correct?
Yeah. It was free from the software company because they gave it to us as a demo. I think
gotcha.
We had the paid version. I think there was a free version, but so anyway, I used that program for years, but I can't do it as a job because I can't transition to Adobe or Corel because I learned it the wrong way. So I'm stuck with this information. So I did posters, I did graphic editing, I did a lot of stuff for one of the local haunted houses and escape rooms.
Skellington? Yeah.
And then after that kind of relationship ended, I put it away. I just didn't do any photo editing. And then the pandemic was there, and we weren't doing a lot of shows. So when we started doing shows again, I kind of was like, well, I want to have a cool photo of myself. Mm-hmm. So I would do a graphic of that. And then somebody would say, hey, could you do one of me? And I'd be like, sure. And then it just got to a point where I was enjoying it again. So I started doing it for different shows that I was on. I kind of use it as a promotional tool. Like, hey, if you book me, there's a good chance he's going to do a poster for it.
Oh, yes. Very smart.
So it was kind of one of those things where I had some selfish intention, but as well as I believe everybody deserves like that cool profile picture.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like something that makes you feel badass, and so I want to help provide that for people. I'm not a great photographer, which sounds weird because I take a lot of photos, but I'm very good at the backside of that, at taking that photo and making it look better.
Oh yeah.
So that is my contribution to like, hey, if this helps you feel a little cooler, I'm all about it. Yeah,
well, I honestly love it. Everybody talks about it. I mean, everybody just wants to be on a show that you're in so they can be a part of a cool... Yeah,
you get a cool poster out of it.
Mug shots. Even your accuracy of that, the height one, the mug shot one, it was honestly so good because I was a little butthurt that I looked like I was just as tall as Mike Cadralis.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm 5'7". Like,
Well, it's also one of those things too. Like it was accurate till I started getting tired of doing it.
Yeah.
So that show had 100 people on it. So I'm like, okay, Andy's obviously super tall, so is JT. So I started with those two, and I kind of put them in the back, thinking, they'll stand out because they'll be tall. Well, then by the time I got like 30 people on the card, I'm like, I'm just tired of layering this. So it's like, all right, everybody's going to just have to be shorter now.
Yeah.
And it works when you have Mike and Pubali on a show because they fill up that short card real quick.
Have you ever heard Mike's? I don't know if it's a bit that he's done before, but about Leslie, his like maybe it was improv on stage.
It was probably improv on stage, but go into it because I've got some great backstories on this.
It was so fucking funny. He goes, Leslie, I could probably just turn on the lights and go into your husband's bedroom. He'll think I'm you. He goes, I got same size tits. He goes, I got tighter ass. And I was dying. Even though like all of us that night, it was like every single person's like, I used all of my best bits. I was so thankful to be put on that show last second. I'm going to use all my best bits. And like, I had a couple that got the room. And then I just got a couple that I was like, at one point I said, well, this is going to be rough, guys. And I walked over to my note card because normally I don't ever take a notes or like, because I practice all week as I'm at work. And
but you were last minute and getting it added on. I'm super ADD, so I have to have a note card with just the titles.
I have one word. I do the same thing. Just the first word of the bet.
Yeah, I can go up on stage knowing what I'm going to do first, and then by the time I walk on stage, forget it. So, like, I've looked at my note for the first word of the first joke just because I'm that bad sometimes. But anyway.
Well, when I did my bit, or I did my set, and at the beginning, you can hear I'm nice and slow. Laughs are drawn out. Yeah. And then it's just like people are just smiling.
Oh, yes.
And then I'm like, and fast forward, like I'm times 2, times 3, times 4. And I'm like, guys, I got to get off this stage. Yeah. And I looked at Wayne. I was like, Wayne, I got to scratch like half these jokes. Like, I feel like this crowd is not.
Sometimes just toughing it out is the biggest battle of, if it's not going well and just getting to the end of your set is just like, it's a battle, but you get there. Yeah,
so it was. I was supposed to do 10 to 15, and here I am fast forwarding, and I'm at 9 minutes. And I'm just like, I'll give Wayne his money back. Like I'm getting the fuck off. And Mike had 15 to 20. Yeah. I think Mike was at 12 minutes when he goes, fuck, all right, all right. He goes, hey, Colin, you Bob Saget, fuck you. Fucking, I'm John Stamos' retarded uncle. Fuck you. And then he goes, now you fucking, you kill yourself. I fucking hate all you. Nobody fucking laughing.
Fuck you, bye.
Yeah. And so he stood there for a minute and he goes, Wayne, am I at my time? He goes, fuck you.
Some of Mike's best work does come when he's improv, especially off the crowd when they're getting into it.
They were gone. So.
Yeah. So a couple, probably months now back, we rode up to Dubuque and back. It was me, Mike Adralis, Leslie Mitchell, Todd Wilhite, and JT Cage, all crammed into a vehicle. We go up to Dubuque.
That must have been a big vehicle.
It was my wife's
they had a minivan.
No, we put JT in the trunk. And then I almost forgot him in the way because it's got the hatch, in the back and stuff. So we put him back there and crammed him in. And when we went in, like I walked out and almost forgot to let him out. So I didn't realize that there was no like.
You didn't realize there was a jolly green giant in the back. Yeah.
So. But on the way back, Leslie asked Mike about his, which joke was it? She asked him about his hostas joke. And she's like, why is that funny?
Yeah.
And asked him to explain the joke. And he's like, well, it's just funny because it's silly. And she goes, yeah, but why? And so they had this discourse of, Mike trying to explain why it's funny. So now every time she's in the room when he does that joke, he has to explain that she doesn't like the joke. So I don't know if he did that on, but then they had the weirdest conversation about like Mike's divorce and stuff like that. And then JT was asking for love advice from Leslie. Like her and I kind of fill this weird mom and dad role for the comedians. Like we're just old timers that have been through it, and so yeah, it was a fun trip. So anytime Mike has an interaction with Leslie, it's usually hilarious.
Yeah, well, actually, that's so funny because the woman that was standing right beside, she goes, she walked up to me after the show. She goes, "Can you explain me Mike's hasta joke?" And I was like, "No one really knows." I was like, "That's why it's fucking funny." But Leslie, she did get a super laugh out of have you heard my docking joke?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did my docking bit, and Leslie walked up and she goes, "Well, I'm gonna go home, just like probably half this room, and Google search what the fuck docking is because I need the visual of what he just explained to us." And the whole fucking room, they fucking lost. I was like, "Leslie, you fucking got a bigger laugh off my joke than I did. Like, you motherfucker."
I have one about docking and felching.
Felching or frauding?
Felching.
Oh, I don't know what felching is.
Okay, so it's one of those. But then that's what I do. I'm like, go ahead and Google that when you get home. You're going to have a good time because I know that's one of those ones that only about 50% of the audience are going to get. Those that do are really going to enjoy it. Those that don't are going to be a little weirded out. But then when they go home, they're going to have a great time.
Vogers. Okay. We're almost there. Wait, okay, so yeah, I'm picking up where we're at here. Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of the bit of the joke is that I every once in a while my mom and I'll get into these weird conversations where we're trying to gross each other out, and so I'll throw phrases like that out at her, knowing that she won't understand what they are. And then hope that she Googles them later because I can only hope what that search history on my parents' computer looks like.
So, do you think you get a lot of your comedy from your mom?
No. I mean, this is one of those things where I had a really good upbringing. So sometimes I feel bad doing comedy in the sense like, yeah, you guys raised me right, and look how I turned out. I turned into a guy that makes dick jokes on stage. Like, that's something to be proud of. But I think my sense of humor always just came from being a weird kid and having to defend myself. So I figured if I defended myself in a funny way, I could at least get by.
Were you an athlete at all? Like, did you play? Because I would definitely take you as like football player, and like I've seen older pictures of you, man.
I was. It was weird because like
you're super handsome. Like
I was scrawny though. Like I was tiny, and I was a little bit of an athlete all through like junior.
Not to say you're not super handsome now. No. To say
I know what you mean, but I know what you mean though. So I was a little bit of an athlete. Grew up playing like flag football and stuff. Didn't get into like the tackle football as much. Just it seemed like there were too many rules. Got into soccer a lot. Did a lot of soccer stuff.
Plays, theater, anything like that?
No. It was one of those things. So I grew up in on the way here. The drive here is going to be a joke for me. I'm already working on it, but it was kind of weird because it brought back so many memories. Because I grew up in a small town in western Iowa, so I ended up. The way Google Maps took me was, I'd be on road, then I'd be on gravel, then I'd be on road again. Yeah. And to me, that's normal. Like, that's how I grew up. So
wait for a couple of turkeys to cross the road,
Exactly. So it was very, very nostalgic coming out here. And I don't even, why was I telling you about why? So that's why. So I grew up in a small town.
That's how you got started docking is what you were saying.
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town, though, and I was much scrawnier, so I didn't do a lot of sports, but I did have some. I just.
But you're a sports fan, though, right?
Well, I
know you're a Hawkeyes.
So I used to be a huge sports fan, and I used to be a much angrier person as well. They kind of go side by side. My anxiety kind of turned into I projected a lot in anger, I think, and so. I got to a point in sports where I was kind of living and dying by these things, like where if my team lost, like I would be pissed and I'd go into a depression. I'd be mean to my friends and shit.
What a cool thing. Honestly, I kind of feel that same way. Sometimes I try to less invest myself. That's a really cool thing to say because I've never heard anybody else like if the Cubs lose, I'm like, dude, there's 161 more games. Like,
so I finally got to a point where I cut all sports out, where I was just like, you know what, I can't do this to myself anymore. Where I can't be emotionally hurt by a team's loss for guys that have never met me, could not care about my fan. And I'm not saying athletes are horrible people, but you know, they're getting paid whether I am a fan or not. And so for them to not have any investment in me, there's no reason for me to be invested in them emotionally. And so I was like, then I got to a point where sports just became kind of silly to me.
yeah.
Like, I still love competition. Like, March Madness is one of the like, I was never a basketball fan, but March Madness I love because of the true nature of sport in it, that it could be any team's year.
Yeah. Anybody gets a chance. Yeah.
Anybody could be hot, anybody could be cold, and you go home.
Yeah.
You know, if you're cold, you go home. Like, that's just the way it is. So it's to me, that's one of the few true sports left, where everything else is just kind of sports entertainment.
Don't you feel like that's why football is a little bit different than baseball? Because, you know, you have literally 162 games compared to 17.
Yeah.
16 or 17. So each week, that one game is so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. The 162 games that come down to 4 games at the end of the season is kind of pointless to me. Like, like we go through, you think of the prices of the base, you know, going to a baseball game, and I know, you know, the economy and it moves money and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to 4 games or, you know, whatever in the last minutes. And it's like, so why did you do that 160 games? Like,
see, there's a lot of things like that are super weird. Like I sometimes think about it. So in the realm of sports, like let's start like a PlayStation. You have MLB The Show. Now, if you all these games, nobody like they download it now. Like Fortnite and all these games, you're not actually getting a physical product. So
and yet the prices keep going up.
Yeah, like, so they're literally giving, this is already made and done. So they're making over 100% profit off of you. They're making 100% profit and then whatever else they're charging. Because you're not getting a physical product and everybody else is getting it. So now the fact that it's up to like $90, we cut cable a long time ago. It got ridiculous here, especially out here. But now I just want to watch the Cubs. I want to be able to watch the Cubs. And the only way you can watch the Cubs is through Fubo TV. That's the only one that has marquee. You can't just pay for marquee. So Fubo TV is $85 a month. Well, then stack that on top of Amazon Prime and Hulu and Netflix. And now I'm paying the same fucking thing that I was paying before.
Yep. It's interesting because we are in this weird boom of the digital subscription, and you see all these places just pumping out content because each of these streaming services is gobbling up content because they want to have as much content so they can say, oh, we have X number of hours of content on our streaming platform. At some point, this is going to bust, and we're going to come back to just like the networks, where it's going to come back to like 3 or 4 major players, and they're going to charge what they want to charge again, and it's going to just be like cable all over again.
Well, have you ever been one of those guys who like, dude, listen, I just turned into this. This is so funny. But first, I want to say, hey, Shot 30 Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, CastBox, YouTube, all those things. Please like, share, subscribe. Forgot to say that at the beginning.
Also, if you don't, he will come to your house and hurt you. I mean, he probably won't, but, you know, we can't make any guarantees.
Yeah, there's always anthrax, you know? I could be the silent, you know, the old vigilante.
Some of my favorite, like, podcasts are the ones when they have ad reads, where they just completely, like, they put the content in that they have to, but then they put all the other words around it that make it.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I used to do that with Manscaped. So when Manscaped had sponsored us, and then they dropped us because I was on a hiatus, and then they were like, you didn't post any podcasts this month. And I was like, yeah, I just like had a lot going on. They're like, that's not part of our deal. Yeah. I was like, okay. They're like,
these deals are actually mean something?
Yeah. They're like, well, we have to drop you. I was like, why?
I'll put you out. I mean, you're going to be on there next time I'm there, but.
Yeah, well, our TikTok was like, I mean, we were getting like 500,000 views per ad that we were doing for Manscaped. And I was like, I did an ad. And they're like, you're supposed to do 2 ads and 4 podcasts a month. And I was like, okay, well, I guess fuck you guys then.
This whole commitment thing.
I totally understood why they dropped me. I was really hoping that they would just keep me.
Yeah. If you that's one of those things. Like,
I would have turned into a drama queen real quick if that happened.
It's one of those things where if you question things enough, sometimes people just let you have what you want. Like, I bring my coffee into most of the bars that I go to for open mics, and somebody asked me the other day, they're like, "Why? Like, they let you do that?" And I go, "It's not that they let me. It's like no one tells me no." Like, is that my phone going off? By the way,
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, I just didn't want to be unprofessional. I'm like, I hope I silenced mine, but
unprofessional. I got tits behind me. I'm drinking Fireball. It's fucking 8 a.m. in the morning. I just slid my shoes and socks off. I'm sitting here barefoot. You got a weed bin over there. That's like a tactical fucking weed bin over there.
It really is. So it's my favorite.
Is it fireproof?
It's my favorite. It's not fireproof because it's plastic, but it is smell proof.
Oh.
So it has room for my container.
Gosh.
It actually has a grinder that goes with it on top. Extra lighter. All these little joint cases, and it's smell proof.
Yeah, dude, look at that thing.
Like, I love it.
You got ammo in there?
It's my favorite Amazon purchase ever.
So when you pulled into Matherville here, was that number one thing you like the number one thing most people think is, how many Kyle Rittenhouses live in this town?
I did see a Blue Lives Matter flag on someone's, and it's funny because I support is a weird one. Like, I have family that's law enforcement. Like, I don't not support police. It's just one of those things. Like, any grouping that you have, you're gonna have a certain percentage of them that are shitbags. And my thing is always just about improving. What do we got to do to bring that group up so that any group is not being brought down by their lowest percentage.
Yeah. I worked as a correctional officer. My wife still works at the prison. I worked as a correctional officer for 8 years, 7.5, whatever. And, I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm just like, dude, how about we all just be better?
That's always my thing is why do people get mad when we want to make things better? I'm not saying anybody's necessarily in the wrong. I'm just saying we can do better as a country, as a group, as a whatever. We can do better.
I had this. This is actually a really weird thing. I didn't think I was going to even talk about this. So I had like this shirt that says equality, and it had Martin Luther King on it, and the amount of fucking scurvy white, like old scurvy white, like what? That's a weird shirt. That's an interesting shirt, and I was like, what is the problem here? What's wrong with my shirt?
That is an extreme thing. These things that
I also have a manatee crossing right behind you. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, right on the door there.
That is fantastic. My friend Jenny Lynn is a huge manatee fan, so I'm gonna have to take a picture of that before I leave today.
Yeah,
that's dope as hell.
Yeah, we've got a lot of weird stuff,
but things that were not necessarily intent in a bad way are now being misconstrued. Not even misconstrued, but they're being represented in different ways. Like, there used to be a time where having a flag like on the back of your truck, like just the American flag on the back of your truck, was like, hey, that's patriotic, that's cool. Now I worry that I'm going to have an argument with them if I have an opinion about things, just because it seems like now the extremists and any extreme are taking things and using them out of place.
Yeah, a really good example of it is it was the second time I did stand-up comedy. So I did this whole thing. It was awful. I mean,
our second times always are.
So it was about me catching this football and landing on a cactus, which actually happened. And I licked I licked it because I thought it was ketchup because we were at a barbecue. I was eating a hot dog, so I thought I spilled ketchup. Licked it. And then I talked about how me and my friend, it was just me and him playing football together. And so I started playing center just so he'd touch my ass a little bit. And I had so many people, straight people, come up to me and say, you can't talk about that unless you're gay. And I was like, I probably had more dicks in my hand than you have. I was like, I'm like the king of gay shit. And it's so funny because when I think about that, now I perform at, like varieties, and I perform for a Mary Quite Contrary's House of Burlesque. Like I'm booked for them for the whole year. And that's a very open LGBTQ friendly crowd. And I do like no one there has ever said, it's like, if you have a problem and it's your problem, then please present it to me. But don't protect someone else's problem if it's not yours.
Yeah, it is a weird one because I used to have a joke that I was doing, and it was actually a very recent bit, and it involved me like I've heard every telemarketer bit and scam in the game, and so I mess with them sometimes, and I mess with this one so bad that she ended up calling me the other F word. And
oh, gotcha.
And I was proud of myself because I broke that person. Like I broke them at their job, and it was one of the true scam ones. It wasn't like, hey, I'm just a telemarketer doing my job at the, I'm always super nice to them. I'm like, I understand they have a job to do, but the scam ones I love messing with. But so anyway, I break her and she calls me the other F word. And so I would do this on stage. I would tell people about this on stage, and I would drop the other F word in the joke. And I had full support of a bunch of my LGBTQ friends. They were cool with it. They understood, because what I would say is, I would hope, I know homophobia and all that doesn't work this way, but I hope that by taking that F word and her calling me that, maybe that takes one out of her chamber next time she's down the road so that she can't call one of my friends that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm doing this joke, and I've never gotten any callback on it or any hate on it. And then one day I'm at home and my daughter calls me out on it, out of the blue. Like she's like, well, you're kind of a homo. I don't know exactly how she phrased it. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, no, she didn't say it in a way. Yeah, I understand.
But
she
goes,
used the word.
She's like, you shouldn't use that on stage in any context. And I'm like, well, and she explained it to me why. And she's like, yes, I understand that you're saying it in a way that's supportive of the community, and she's like, but the fact that you say it as a, cis straight white male, it can give power to other people that want to say that down the road. And it's one of those things where then I immediately took it out of my set, because whether she's right or wrong about that, as far as
it's a concern,
it is. And so I don't want to give anybody any ammunition in the hate chamber.
Yeah.
So I was trying to take the bullet out of the gun, and inadvertently may have put, and according to my daughter's words, may have put the bullet back in.
More of a misfire. It's more of a misfire that you loaded back in. But if you're Alec Baldwin, that's a problem.
Well, and even having a blank in the gun, it still if there's something lodged in the barrel, it can project that out.
Yeah, I see. I did a bit. It was at the Spotlight Theater, and I did this bit, and I thought the reaction I was gonna get was the reaction I was gonna get, but it was something that actually happened. It was I walked up and I said something along the lines of, my wife's, it's her first time performing burlesque. And so I was at work the other day, and one of the guys at work walked up to me and said, and this is all true, he said, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I protected her name. I said, me and Misha are going to a burlesque show. And he said, bunch of middle-aged women with self-confidence issues. And I said that on stage. So the whole crowd that aren't there to watch stand-up, aren't there for me, they all started booing, and I was like, I know, right? I was like, I was fucking pissed. And so then I was like, actually, it's my wife's very first time performing burlesque. My wife's. Oh, you're a comedian, man. You can take a joke. It was just a joke. Yeah. And dude, like, the crowd was like sitting there like, do we fucking hate him or do we love him? Like, where's he at? Where's he at on our own? Yeah. And then I was like, so I was like, yeah, it's funny. So I just Googled his face, I just photoshopped his face onto the body of the smallest dick I could find on the Google, and just sent an email out to everybody else, and the crowd loved it. They loved it, but man, it was like, oh, thank God I had something good. Cause,
absolutely. And I can't remember who it was here recently. Again, I probably was giving unsolicited advice, but I was telling them, I'm like, make sure the crowd knows you're on the right side of the joke. Like, there's a couple of jokes where you hang it out there too long, where the crowd's like, what side of this issue are you on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, make sure you let them know a little bit earlier so that they're not like you said, you're putting them in that spot of spinning. But sometimes if you don't give them the big out, they might not realize down the road that you're a good person and you actually support the right side of it.
It's so actually, me and Timmery had just talked about this on the way home from the show on Friday night. I think that this is a really cool thought that I had as we were driving home. There's two types of stand-up reaction that we're looking for. One is the whoos or woos, you know. So my wife's lost 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Woo! And then there's the laughs.
Yeah.
You know, and isn't it such a weird thing that, some comedians, they can just live off the woos.
Yeah.
They just say, like, anybody in here have big feet? Woo! Anybody in here, like, LGBTQ? Yeah. And they're like, woo!
So I started it, oddly enough, as far as my entertainment background goes, I started off in the professional wrestling industry. And it's what we call in the business like a cheap pop.
So you and Brandon Gale, have you guys faced off?
Brandon and I have known each other probably, almost 20 years at this point.
Who do you think would win in a wrestling match, you or him?
He's far more trained than I am.
He's big. I mean, you're a big guy too, but he's like, what is he, like 6'4"?
Yeah,
I'm
6'1".
Yeah, okay.
Yep. He's a bit taller than me, and it's funny because like we've shared clothes, and I went to loan him a suit. Well, it was one of my older ones, and I thought he
just needed one. Yeah, I just saw you ask for one.
So I loaned him two. Well, they were my older ones, and they didn't fit me, and so I should have realized it wouldn't fit him. But it was one of those things like I forgot, and I thought he was still, just a bit slimmer than I was. So, and I thought maybe it was in the shoulders more than anything, but I felt bad that like, oh shoot, I couldn't find my new one to give you. So I loaned you my old one.
well, you know what? All that matters is the effort. I got to go pee real quick. I'm just going to go right outside here. Dude, plug whatever the fuck you want. I mean, I can't believe how fast we've blown through a fucking hour.
Oh, shoot. The only thing I've got a couple things coming up. I'm going to be hosting Thursday night at the Comedy Bar in Dubuque. Going to be guest hosting there for that Thursday open mic. Should be a good time. We usually get a great turnout there. Next Friday, we've got the Speakeasy open mic that Shayne's going to be hosting. That's going to be a good time. Usually get a great turnout of comics there. $3 is all that costs to get in. $3. That's fantastic. Tuesday night, we also have the open mic at the Broken Saddle. Tuesday at the Broken Saddle. That is hosted by JT Cage and Hunter Henshin. Two great guys there at the Country Bar hosting an open mic. We also have Jeff Close there running the bar and a great group of servers so we can get some good drinks. I don't drink, but a lot of people do, so we can keep doing that. I fill in all this airtime right now with plugs for all the open mics coming up, including your Friday night hosting gig at the Speakeasy coming up.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for that. I think the main reason is because that is the show and the stage that made me really fall in love with comedy.
Mm-hmm. That is. It's so weird because that has always been one of my favorite rooms to do. I've had some great things happen in that room. I've had some bad things happen in that room, but it is one of the best rooms to do comedy because it's so narrow. All the laughs get focused forward. I don't know if you've ever recorded any of your sets there.
Every single one.
Have you ever noticed how much louder it is on stage than it is on the camera because all the laughs go forward?
Yeah. So I've had Timmery record from the front and from the back because I'm like, dude, I feel like I was killing that night.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you killed.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then listen to the video, and I'm like,
There's nobody there. There's
Yeah.
is there nobody there? I see a people and I'm like, it always would make me feel bad afterwards. I'd listen to my sets and I'd be like, why is nobody laughing in this? But they were, but I was just up front.
See, also, I know that, I mean, no matter how many times I take a mic, I'm a nervous guy. I've always been a nervous guy. So I get scared, but it takes me one laugh. It takes me one good laugh and I turn into a monster.
Oh,
like I
absolutely.
can completely, like, I could drop all of my bits and just do whatever. Like, even so with the speakeasy, like when the competition last year, both times when I hit my Peyton Manning joke and then when I hit my first joke at the finals, and it just turned, like, half my set was improv. Like, it's just because that laugh in that room and that crowd is so infectious because it rumbles up there.
Oh, yeah.
And you
You
see
get
no one.
There was a time, and I was doing an angry bit where I was talking about all the people I hate, like people that in the middle of winter say cold enough for you, stuff like that. And I got such a huge laugh reaction that I didn't just take a laugh break. Like, I had to stop and step back and like, all I could do was say thank you. Cause like, I didn't know what else to do because I was fairly early in my career at that time. And I'd never gotten such a huge reaction. And it was like, are you guys going to stop laughing so I can finish my jokes? Like, this is, I mean, it's fantastic, but it's also terrifying because you don't know, like, where do my hands go?
Yeah. So that's what, the comedy competition at the Speakeasy, the week before I did my Peyton Manning thing, I wrote that on Wednesday. I went up, and it'd been the first time I'd done stand-up in quite some time, and I mean, killed. Like, I mean, it was just so good that, like, the reaction, and then I went to the finals, and I wrote that on Tuesday, and I was like, every single thing that I wrote was on Tuesday. I was like, should I use a bunch of new stuff? And I was like, I don't have any fucking stuff.
You didn't have a bunch to pull from. And
so I just put a bunch of shit together, walked up on stage with it, and when the room just started roaring, I was like, and then there was other things that happened too. Like, I was talking like about a bit that sounded super vulnerable, like it was for me, and people were laughing, and then I even wrote like the Todd kissing, like the Todd kissing pictures. You know? I wrote that, and then that bit murdered, and I was just like, what is going on here? And so I was standing up there, at one point, and people were like, I'm going to take a drink real quick. And the whole room laughed, and I was just like...
Yeah. Those times when you can do no wrong, where it's just a beautiful glow of being in the zone, and... Yeah, I love those moments.
It's a special thing, and this is what really blows Timmery's mind about. And I sometimes refer to comedy as a sport, but she's watched me 2 days in a row. So that show right there, the one on the Grease Monkeys show.
Monkeys, yep, just there last night.
So I did 15 minutes the night before at Varieties. 11 o'clock at night, LGBTQ drag show. I was the only comedian. No one's funny at 11 o'clock at night.
No. Especially
in the Quad Cities. And I went up and murdered. I made so much money that night. They had a tip kitten walk around, and I went to say, I have one last joke, and people were like, no, stay up there. I was like, I can stay up here until 3 a.m., dude.
Yeah.
I've heard what Dane Cook does late at night at the Comedy Store. Like, I can do this.
It was weird. They were doing that to James at the Grease Monkeys last night.
Oh, to keep him up there?
I think it was just the owner, and maybe he was a little drunk, but...
You wanted to keep him up there?
He wanted... So James did one more joke where he has the long joke with a song at the end of it, so he did one more of those.
The dick one?
That one was what's it called?
What the fuck?
That one was my phone.
Dang.
That's Tina from Bob's Burgers doing her moan. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was the pollution joke.
Yeah. And you know what? It took me like so he given me one of the. So James came over here. Actually, let me show you something funny.
Yeah.
So James came over here. We did a 4-hour podcast, and we just got drunk. I drank a fifth, and then 2 small, like medium-sized fireballs, and James drank a entire fifth of Jack Daniels.
Yes.
We watched football, playoff football, and we were shit-faced. So then I started having him autograph ancient artifacts in here. Like, dude, we got a fucking samurai sword. And there's his autograph. It's the stupidest thing.
Like Randy Jackson.
I know, that's what I said. We both said that, like, we agreed that it was one of the best movies. But I think I want you to sign it, too.
Okay.
I feel like that feels right.
Yeah.
Like, and I really enjoy... I really, dude, you're an awesome dude. Like, this is so much fun. This hour's like feels like nothing, doesn't it?
I know I'm a talker too, so that kind of helps. I imagine where sometimes you get some people that where you gotta try to pull teeth and pull information out of them.
Yeah,
and I'm just over here like I'll say anything.
We had and not to identify this person by what they are, but very, very gay guy. Mm-hmm. And the only time he opened his mouth was he was like, yeah, he was raw dogging me and my head was smacking against the wall and my neighbors were pissed. And so other than when he would talk about something super sexual, this is probably like a year and a half ago. I had to like, can you just explain to me how hard you were getting fucked?
Just something to keep the conversation. Yeah, just something to keep the conversation going.
Did he pull your ass hair? Do you have ass hair? Manscaped? Like anything? I was begging.
Good plug-in.
Yeah, I was begging. But then there's been other times, like, so we had Thurgood Brooks. Mm-hmm. And that was, all I was hoping for was just be yourself. He was just politician mode. It was just politician mode the whole time he was on here. And then we got done and we were like sitting here goofing and talking. I'm like, just be yourself, man. People love that way more.
That's one of the. I imagine that's a weird spot to be in. That's one of the definite reasons why I could never get into politics. Where it's just like I have to be myself. Like I can't. I mean, I can put on the act for a little bit, like when I go to work and stuff like that. And even then, it's like I had my review here recently, and I went in there with a graph that said I brought shenanigans in the office place up like by 500%, and just making up random facts for why they should keep me.
Well, but you like to doodle.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a fun guy everywhere you go, though.
I try to be. I spent a lot of, like I said, a lot of years with my anxiety making me angry. So I've tried it. I feel like this stage of my life is me making penance for all the anger that I had.
Are you an angry guy now?
Not as much. I tend to, like, when I'm driving, I get angry at other drivers or, like...
It's not real anger, though. Like, you never know them. Or like
No, I don't. But and I've gotten better about things like that where I keep my anger in certain worlds that don't affect other people. Like, when I'm driving down the road, I can cuss at every other driver. And it doesn't bother, or it doesn't, like, impact my life with my wife and kids. It's all just me in that moment getting it out.
What makes you really angry?
It's just...
outside of that.
It's just... I think it is my... Like I said, my anxiety, just the way it manifests. I also know I'm one of those people that I want everyone else to have a good time first. Yeah. Where I will kind of the den mother thing where I will take everything that anybody gives me as far as crap goes, bottle it up and wait and then explode on probably the wrong person. That kind of stuff. But it's like I said, it's gotten so much better. And I feel like, just doing good things in the community as far as like helping other people and whether it's the comedy or just trying to make people smile or the positive Post-it notes that I give people sometimes. It's just like, if I can put a lot more good back into the world, I can kind of keep myself from visiting that place. So
I think that's a good thing, man. I think that's a good thing for you, and it's got to be a good thing for other people. I lost that motivation to ever be mad. Like, it's so seldom. Like, I just want... Honestly, I'm a person, like, I want to do so much for other people, and I just want just that little ounce of love back. And sometimes I get super heartbroken or sad when it's like, like it's my birthday and, it sounds so stupid, but like, it's like your birthday and you just wait for that. Why didn't my best friend tell me happy birthday? Or, I don't need anything other than just a happy birthday, bro.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude,
I had such a weird relationship with my birthday. My birthday is next to one of the holidays, and I had my dad's one of 9, my mom's one of 7, so I had a huge extended family, and I always had this, and I know this is a me issue, not a them issue, but I always got the attention at the the holiday events, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's Chris's birthday," and then everybody would come around and be like, "Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday," and because it felt disingenuous to me that it was like, you guys wouldn't have wished me a happy birthday if you didn't see so-and-so wish me a happy birthday.
Yeah.
So I've always just kind of disassociated from my birthday, where it's just like, you know what, I don't need to celebrate that because that's a time for another celebration, and we'll just let that happen on that time, and my celebration will be doing something else.
Yeah, but even if it's not a birthday, it's sometimes like things like, hey, when the Bishop Hill show, I grew up in Kiwanee.
Yeah.
And to see some of the people that showed up at the show was amazing for me. Like, that was my hometown. I grew up there, and I went to a show, and I've had so many people like, I can't wait. I really want to see you do stand up or this and that. And then so many people came to the show and were like, I was like mind blown. One of my ex-girlfriend's brothers I love him. I love all of them so much. They're such amazing people. But he showed up at the show and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like that is the type of feeling that you expect no one. You expect nothing.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of these, like a lot of us comedians and stuff, you expect nothing. And then when you get some, man, it means more than everything in the world,
This is a completely unrelated anecdote to this, but it's also, I've done one show in my hometown. I don't know if you know Dan Umtham out of Des Moines. He and I grew up
Dan Humptum?
Umtham.
Oh.
He and I grew up in the same little town in Western.
Would have been his name, huh?
That would have been. But he and I grew up in the same town in Western Iowa, actually even on the same street. And we both went on to do comedy. He's huge in the Des Moines scene. I'm out here. And so we'd planned to do a show together in our hometown. He ended up having something going on that same weekend, so he wasn't able to do it. I've only done comedy in my hometown once. And it was a great show. Brought James Draper was on that show, and Brandon Gale was on that show. I had one of my ex-girlfriends show up at the show. Well, not even an ex-girlfriend, a girl that I'd hooked up with one time. And she brought her husband to the show. And I had gotten off stage, and she was a little bit drunk and was very, very, like, trying to be like, she's like, "Oh, you're so funny." I'm like, "Your husband," like, I'm in a hallway and your husband's right over there. Like, this is not cool. Like, I wasn't going to, like, nothing was going to happen. I mean, I think but I was not.
You think she was down?
Oh, that was that pick. Oh, she was, it was just that comedy thing where, somebody referred to it last night as a chuckle slut. It's like a groupie for comedy. I was like, that's a good term for it.
Timmery's a chuckle slut, dude. I mean, she's always, but like even those little chuckles sometimes, like it can make the room infectious. When people laugh, man, it makes other people laugh.
I mean, there's so many times where you're in a room. Where
you're not getting away from chuckle slut though. You're going back. No. I need to finish that story.
But yeah, it is a big thing though. Like there are some times where you're in a room where you have to have one person laugh or the whole room won't laugh. Like you get one and you can get them all. But yeah, sometimes breaking that silence is the toughest part.
I think that this is kind of a cool thing. There was a show that I was completely bombing at. It was a mic. Or one or the other. I was completely bombing at, and you gave me a pity laugh. Dude, you gave me
Sorry.
You gave either one, you thought it was fucking funny, or two, you gave me a pity laugh, and it made me walk off the stage going like, I'm not going to Mike and Dross this one. Like, I'm not going to kill myself. Like, thank God I got one laugh tonight.
I'm guessing that was one of those ones where, it was one of those ones where I was holding it and it just kind of then blasts out, where it's like,
yeah, dude. But I think it might have been a Tremont tomfoolery.
Okay,
night. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Oof. Actually, it was Halloween. I was dressed up.
That was a weird show. Like it was weird because like at times it seemed like it was super packed, and then other times it seemed like it was empty.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, and I don't think it was that. I just think it was just my perception of it. But it was, it was kind of a weird show. Like it was good. But it was still, like I said, weird.
Oh, Todd struggled that night. I remember now. Todd Basinger struggled hard that night. He was like, guys.
And he even did the dressing up like Chris Lichting, didn't he?
Yes.
That's right.
And he was like, guys, I'm trying. He's like, you guys order from Domino's? He started. But he looks like he's in love, and I'm like, I'm so happy for him, dude. He's such a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
He's one of two only unpostable, two podcasts that we've recorded for Shot 30 that were not posted. He was so fucked up, and we did it over Zoom in the middle of COVID.
Okay.
And he was taking a shit, smoking a cigarette. His penis was in it. His asshole was in it. His shit was in it. He continued to talk about his dead family members.
Yeah.
And and then the other guy who was unpostable was he had lost a testicle. He had testicular cancer, and he wanted to show me how empty his sack was. And so I thought it was a good idea. Like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can I feel what one nut feels like? And I'm like bouncing one nut on the fucking, and I don't know
I could see how that would YouTube and that would be the toughest part.
And then we spent the next that was episode 20. We're at episode 150 now. So we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
But he was like calling these chicks. He's like, I guarantee you I can find somebody on my phone who wants to hook up with me. I said, if you find someone that's at least a 2 who wants to hook up with you right now, I said, I swear to God, I will give you $100 cash. And it's all on the podcast. And so he's calling all these girls, just begging for them to have sex with him, and none of them would. And it really seemed more like embarrassing than
and that might skirt some sort of prostitution law. And
yeah, I mean, prostitution should be legal.
Should be, but it any sort of,
at least Asian massage parlors are still legal, because I've been to a few.
And I think that's one of those ones where they just let that one slide a lot of times, and then they go and bust all of it once.
Oh yeah. So I was having a rough day, and there was a lot of bad stuff going on, and I called Timree. She was at work. I was like, dude, I'm at that one Asian massage parlor that someone told us about, And I was like, should I go in? And she goes, yeah, go. Just do it. She goes, I'll pay for it. You're like super stressed. And so I walk in, and the woman goes, okay, you in here now? And I was like, okay. So I went in there, and then Timree, she told me, make sure you get naked, otherwise you'll never do it. And so I am all the way butt naked. The woman walks in, and I go to cover myself because I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, you lay down. And then she goes, how much money you got? And then I was like, well, I have 60 for the massage. I said, and then I have this as a tip. And dude, she starts going sawhorse like an Amish person in my butt crack, dude. She literally just takes her hand. I'm laying on my back. She puts a bunch of oil, and she starts doing this. And then she goes right to the back. And she starts tickling and doing all this. And she had me flip around. She did the whole thing and called it a day. I paid for an hour massage. I was gone in 13 minutes, dude. I was like, well, I'm good. I
don't need the rest of the massage.
When you walk upstairs, you can ask Timberly. I was just like, it happened. And she knew the tricks. And she was like, well, I need to know the tricks.
Funny story. I've been on the other side of this. I used to be a massage therapist.
Oh, yeah. So people would beg you for it?
Not. It wasn't me as much as if I ever fielded a couple of really, really bad phone calls.
Like hand jobs or finger jobs?
These guys these guys were looking for anything they could get, kind of thing. Because at one point, this was the one that really confused me. I'm working at a chiropractic office that also offered massage.
Uh-huh.
And this dude was completely dead set on getting a hand job or something from a massage therapist. And it's like he's calling. He's like, "Do you have any female massage therapists?" Well, yeah, we do. Are any of them good looking? I'm like, well, I tell you what, that doesn't really apply to their technique. So I've got some ladies here, but I would probably have you work with a male therapist. And,
Yeah, good thing to say.
And he goes, no, I want one with big tits. And I'm like, that you're calling a chiropractic office, like they're almost real doctors. And
Yeah.
that's like,
I mean, I literally went in for a hand job because everyone says that you get hand jobs there.
It was funny though. One time I had a friend of mine. She was a little bit older lady. She went to one of those places trying to get a real massage, and
they tried to give her a happy ending.
well, they didn't even get to that point. But it was just, she said it was the weirdest transaction she ever had because she gave the gal the money up front for the massage, which is usually you pay at the end. And so they take her back in the room, and she's like, she's just, oil and just kind of not really doing anything. And she gets the end, and she's like, okay, you tip now? And while she's still on the table, and she's like, yeah, I have a tip, but, we're not done with the massage. And she's like, that was the point where she was offering the extra services and
well, isn't it weird that they just go so from what I've been a part of and what I was told, you get to experience everything at least 5 times.
Yeah.
But dude, they just start touching your butthole and taint. Come on, man. If I wasn't okay with the fact that you're touching my butthole and taint, it's a very weird place to touch.
It is a weird place to start.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but I have to imagine that's a trial and error thing for them where they've been through this enough times that's where they know to start.
57% want that.
I imagine more guys are into that than, not necessarily the sawing of the ass crack, but the tickle and the taint and stuff. I imagine more guys are into that than let on.
And I shot it was just like Mount Vesuvius. Pompeii was in trouble that day because she was pinching and pulling and squeezing, and it just went, oh, dude.
She had some exotic techniques for you, something new.
Yeah, so I told Timmery to go there and ask just to learn. Just do this because that's fast. That's fast. That's good. That is good. And even, not to bring up the P word, but my penis, it wasn't even all the way hard, and she was making shit come out of it, dude.
That's a solid. She had some solid efforts.
But I did get nervous because I was like, what if she saved that and as it was still warm, put it on an incubator, and then processed it and had it, do the thing, and then one day she shows up with Xinjiang, and they're it's Shayne Neubert. And I'm like, ah!
I gotta imagine there's been so many loads to that place that would not be their primary, but maybe she falls in love with you or wants to get a piece of the financial action or
who the fuck knows? I think this is a good time to wrap this thing up.
Come is a good time to end anything.
Would you come back? Would you come back on here? And we can come back on here with 2 other people.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it. I would love to have you back. Where do you want everybody to find all your stuff?
Well, that's a good question. I want to get, this is my level of fame I want to get to.
Okay.
I want to get to the level of fame where I no longer have to use social media.
Okay.
So the only thing I've got right now,
really, Paul Rudd?
Like a Kyle Kinane kind of.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's people know he's good. He doesn't have to constantly post about it. That's where I want to be. But right now I'm just doing the Facebook. I don't do any of the TikToks or the Twitters. I guess I still have an Instagram, but it's the Facebook is the Starman, THEE Starman, STARMAN.
Yep. Okay. We'll send everybody there. And then also, I also think that too is, how old are you?
40. I was thinking about this on the way down. I actually forgot. 43 or 44.
And how old's Todd Wilhite?
I don't know.
41.
Todd's like in that same Mike Adrales category where he could either be 60 or 30, and you'd be like, yeah, I can see it.
If he shaved, so have you ever heard that? So you have kids.
Yeah.
So you've heard that Frozen 2. Yeah, he's a bit of a fixer-upper on the Frozen 2.
My kids are a little bit older. I'm familiar with like the characters and whatnot, but
yeah, so there's this song. It's like, yeah, he's a bit of a fixer-upper, and then they're like cleaning him up. And so I was like, Todd, you could actually be like a handsome, respectable guy and so I played the song while he was in the house after the pot. Started pulling up his pants, tighten up his buckle, straighten up his shirt. Like my hand and started swiping his hair. I was like, you need to shave this beard, and he was like, I fucking hate you. But
sounds like him.
But the day before he left, I can tell you, he sat on my bed with me and we watched a movie and we fucking talked about stand up and life for fucking 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
He left at like 2 or 3 a.m. and it was one of the nicest. It was, because Todd's such a fucking dickhead.
Todd is one of those guys. Yeah, he's hard to like. He can both hate you and love you, and you would never know the difference.
Yeah, and so we just sat there for forever, and we just talked, and it was so nice because he was like, "I know this is probably going to be one of our last conversations, so I'll give you." And I always make him say "love you" before, and he hates it so much. So one time, I was like, "I love you, bye," and he goes, "I'm never going to say that to you." And so I called him like 385 times. I left him voicemails till it was full. I sent him text message. Then I started calling him on Facebook, started calling him on Instagram, started calling him on everything. And I'm a persistent guy. Like, if you get something in my brain, like, hey, you need to make this toothpick into a little hole over there, I can sit here for 5.5 hours until I get it.
Gotcha.
And so I just decided that I was going to call Todd Wilhite till he said he loved me back. And he goes, God, I fucking love you. Bye. And I was like, called him back and said, thanks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But hey, Shot 30 Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, YouTube, all those things. Go visit the Bone Collector in Viola, Illinois. The Bone Collector, he was a world champion barbecue expert, and now he has a restaurant out there, and it's incredible and awesome. And
he's not, and I can guarantee you, he's not collecting human bones.
Maybe.
I mean, that'd be a weird way to run your restaurant, but.
Well, do you think
maybe he would be like a restaurateur on one side and a murderer on the other?
Okay, so what do you think that? Let's just pick someone. Okay, so let's pretend a pork butt would be like Mike Andrales' butt cheek.
Okay,
and then I don't know, a chicken leg would be like, who has a nice leg on him? How about that Kalen guy?
Yeah,
Kalen? Yeah, he's got. Yeah,
Kalen has a
fucking. Yeah, I bet it comes pre-barbecue sauce. So you have that, and then you have a KFC chicken leg. Which one do you think would taste the best? Honestly, you smoke Mike Andrales' butt.
Yeah, I mean and he's already been pre-seasoned because he's been putting the proper spices in him
his whole life.
Yeah, so I gotta imagine it's gonna be a dark meat because it's a working muscle.
Yep.
Yeah, good low and slow on that. That'd be a good.
We should have Stevie Mo cook it.
Yeah.
He's been really.
I mean, Callan's is going to be definitely less calories.
Yeah, it's going to be good for the lifting.
And it's going to be
crew.
clean.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be like super clean meat.
Whew, I don't know, man. That might. Yeah, that's a.
Who were we KFCing again? I forgot.
I think that we said or KFC, which I'm going to pick KFC any day, I guess. I just needed to get out of jail free card there.
It was Callan's like KFC'd.
And Mike and Josh pork butt.
Yep. Tina's.
Oh, yeah, but she's back at it.
Some alerts.
Oh, man, this was a blast. I can't wait to fucking do this again with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, it was JT just being an idiot.
Well,
wanting to ride.
He's the next one up on the podcast. He might be uploaded tomorrow. Yeah, so we got nothing but a comedy lineup. We got Leslie Mitchell, Todd Wilhite, JT, and you. So
I love all those people, but the last one.
You don't love yourself?
I do, but it just being self-deprecating for comedy.
What's it called? Defecating?
Yeah.
Self-defecating?
Yeah, I'm going to poop later, too.
Yeah, let's go do it now.
That's a good way to end the show.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.